Okay, hello, ladies and gentlemen. That was very formal. Hi, it's Grace again, and I'm here with Finley,
Hello, again.
and yeah, and we are doing episode 3 of the podcast.
Yay!
Yeah, it's a very special episode because we're dedicating this to newcomers and stuff because you're all idiots and we hate you.
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. We figured this would be the answer our questions, please help.
Yes.
Just because it's the last one before we have a guest, so we figured may as well make it special.
Okay, so, well, before we move on to that, I guess the first thing we should do is do our progress. So, do you want to start that off, or should I?
Sure, I will. We haven't really had much progress, per se. I've kind of honestly been slacking and forcing and everything Tuple related pretty much, except for, I think it was not last night, but the night before. So Thursday night, I got a really bad forcing headache. And it came to the point where I couldn't think straight, or I couldn't even do anything. I just kind of sat there. And all of a sudden I looked up, and there is Nick. And I can see him perfectly fine in the mind's eye. It was amazing. Like, he was so vivid and detailed. And he also surprised me by changing his appearance a little. He now has a lip ring, as well as his septum ring, and he added a couple of tattoos, and he changed his clothes a little bit. And then he gave me a look saying, what, does it look bad, or something like that. But it was cool, and I kind of had like a, oh my god, this is awesome, and almost started crying. The end.
Cool. I haven't had much progress. I think that it was, I can't remember whether I mentioned this on the last podcast or not. I don't think I did. But, my body naturally started reacting to my tulpas, just a little bit. It's just because I was lay on my bed and, Destiny was lay next to me. And instead of just like rolling through her as I normally would to get to something, without even thinking, I just kind of naturally climbed over her, which was cool. So,
Very cool.
I think that's about it from me, actually.
Sweet.
Yeah, not a lot of forcing has been done on my end either.
Yeah.
So.
We should probably take our own advice and force more, but I've kind of just been stressed lately, and finals, and just, moving on anyway.
Yeah, don't want to bore everybody with that.
For students, that's the end of discussion right there. We'll start off with the basic creation outline.
So, basically, what you would want to do if you were just starting out creating tulpas? Just thought that would be handy. It'd be nice to get that out in audio form. We won't go too much into detail because there's loads of ways to do it, and they all kind of differ a lot. But we'll get the basics down that are common.
I actually started with a character guide sheet that I filled out, and that basically gave him a form and what his name was going to be and like the attributes that I wanted. And after a while I just kind of started repeating, like, you're going to be a good person and brave and help me be the person that I want to be, but don't be afraid to like bring me back down from my high horse if you need to, and stuff like that. I've also heard it that like once you create a form per se, you can like shove qualities into them, kind of. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I've heard of it before. It's kind of interesting.
Well, what do you mean, like I've forgotten the name for it now. I want to say visualization, but I know that's not it. It's like a metaphor.
Yeah, kind of. Basically, you're taking your form and like shoving attributes into them. Like, here's the ball of light that's going to be bravery, shove, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess.
I was going to do something like that with Isaac, where I would write down a personality thing on a piece of paper, and then like put it in his mouth or something. But I never got around to that because it looked stupid.
What did you do? What's your experience?
That is a very good question. That is just under 2 years ago. With Destiny, because she was the one I spent most time on, so naturally when I think of what I did, my thoughts straight to her, because with Faye and Isaac, it was quicker, and I kind of knew what I was doing, so I didn't think too much about it. But, well, I'll give a brief outline on what I did with each of them. But when I was first starting out with Destiny, I worked on the form. I kind of had an image for her, like stood in the corner of my room, like kind of like a puppet of sorts at first, so that I could later go on to fill out personality. So I worked on her like that for about, I don't know, I think it was about 2 or 3 days, but I worked on her a lot. So most people say that you should force like an hour a day. Back in those days, I was really, really interested, and I was forcing about 5 hours a day.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it gave me a lot of headaches.
Mine was more, sorry to interrupt, but mine was more like passive forcing. Like, I only really honestly forced for about 45 minutes. But like throughout the day, I'd tell him, oh yeah, this is why I go to school, or this is why this makes sense. Or like, I remember one day, all I focused on was teaching him how to cook. And the first thing I taught him how to cook was grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese, nice, good choice.
It was exciting.
Yeah, I just want to say that just because I was forcing 5 hours a day doesn't mean that you necessarily should or can, because
everybody's different.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of sounds like I'm up on a high horse, but I'd been working with Underlands and stuff for like 5 years before that. And it had come to a point at that point where I'd spend most of my day kind of like retreating into myself. So I had a bit of practice, you know?
Yeah. So take our advice, but don't fully take our advice.
Yeah.
Do what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
What works.
Everybody's different, so what other people can do isn't necessarily what you can do. And if you can't do that, that's okay. You've just got to work on it. But personality. When I was working on Destiny, her personality, I would kind of write down what I wanted it to be. And instead of like meditating on it or forcing it, I'd think up a situation in which that attribute would be
shown.
Mm-hmm.
I did that too.
And kind of put her through like that kind of situation and imagine her acting that out. And that worked quite well. And she actually started speaking about 6 or 7 days in, which is normal, which it used to be kind of ridiculous, because, I don't know, back when I joined, it would normally take maybe a month for that to happen, but it's more accepted in the community that it can take a little bit less time.
For mine, he didn't necessarily start speaking really early, but after about 2.5 weeks or so, I started noticing I would catch glimpses of his facial expressions. And it was more like I got, you're a dumbass type of look, or what are you saying to me type of look, or what are you even doing type of look. Like, he has different facial expressions that he used to use once in a while. And most of the time, he just kind of like nodded if it was cool, or shook his head if it wasn't, or so like he wasn't necessarily vocal, but we were still communicating. I've always been better at visualization than actual speaking.
Yeah. With Faye, I think Destiny just mainly worked on Faye. I was very busy. I was going through like my final work for a college course at the time, so I didn't really have much time, and by the time that I actually could find time to work on her, then Destiny had basically done most of it. But Faye was a bit awkward because she immediately became, well, not immediately, she became sentient very quickly, and then she disappeared for like a month. I don't know whether we were talking when that happened, Finn.
I'm not sure.
I don't think we were.
We'll have to look back in our logs for it.
But yeah, she disappeared for about a month, and then came back about a month later, just out of the blue, which surprised us both, me and Destiny. So we knew she was sentient because we totally weren't expecting that.
Right.
And she had gone off to. It turns out she had gone off to work on her personality because she wasn't quite happy with the way it was. I don't know how you work on your own personality, but apparently that's what happened. So there you go.
With Nick, it was more of a. How do I explain this without sounding like a total asshole? It was more shaping the personality of the person that I want to be. I want to be brave. I want to be strong. I want to be a leader. I want to be a good person. And I want to be the type of person that isn't afraid to take risks, but I also don't want to go overdo situations sometimes and stuff like that. So, like, it depends on the situation that I've really noticed. Like, in certain things, he's really quiet and won't say anything. Or at certain times, he won't stop talking and, like, he talks really fast and never shuts up. And it all depends. Like, I've noticed that he has similar qualities, and, like, we kind of share a lot of the same qualities, but he's more outspoken than I am. So he'll go off and say, Finn, go up and talk to them, or go ask a question, or don't be afraid to go talk to them. I'm like, but they're busy. And he's like, go talk to them. It's worth your time. Don't be afraid. And, like, he gives me kind of the push that I probably wouldn't have.
Yes. That's exactly the same with all of my tulpas, actually. They seem to be quite outspoken, and I think it's because, well, apart from Faye, Faye's like the opposite. She's really quiet and shy. Apart from, like, when you bring up a topic that she's excited about, she just rambles on about it for ages. Kind of like me, but with Destiny and Isaac, I think it's because tulpas don't really have that kind of social pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a certain amount of social pressure.
They are basically their own people.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have bad habits and that kind of thing.
Right.
But, I mean, if something goes wrong because they told you to do it, it's not really them that's going to get the
backlash.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're not afraid of taking risks like we are, because we actually have to deal with the consequences. Like, and don't get me wrong, they do too.
Yeah.
But not
not to the same degree.
Unless it's physically them possessing that they do they do something, then they deal with the consequence. But most of the time, it's the host that has to deal with the consequences. So if you go up and talk to somebody that you don't normally talk to, you can either get rejected by them or whatever. And either way, your tulpa is going to be there for you. It's just the mere thought, like, of I'm going to go up to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ramble. Okay, should we move on to... Oh god, what else is there?
I was going to run through how I created Isaac as well. But...
Oh, okay, go ahead.
God, forget about
Don't
Isaac.
let me stop you.
So mean.
You actually stole his name from me.
I did not steal his name from you.
Name
I asked,
stealer.
and you gave a suggestion, and I took it.
Uh-huh.
And he liked it, so... Nah. Yeah, with Isaac, it was over the summer holidays, and I worked on him as kind of like a side project. I wasn't expecting him to be so... wasn't expecting him to become sentient so quickly. But I assumed that because I've already got 2 tulpas, then this process was kind of catalyzed.
The more you have,
yeah,
the faster things happen.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I worked on Isaac's form for a while, and I think we were kind of asking different people what to do with him, because I was unsure as to what I wanted out of a new Topa. I knew I wanted a new one because 2 Topas isn't exactly, it's not an easy number to have, because when you're talking to one, then there's always the other one that's left alone. So I find that it's easier to have 3 Topas, so that if you're talking to somebody, then there's always another 2 to keep each other company in the Wonderland or whatever.
Everybody has a buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I kind of like the idea of it keeping it just Nick and I, because not only could I probably not handle another Nick type like Tulpa, because I know he's going to influence them, and I know, believe me, I know how things are going to turn out, but, or have a suspicion anyway, but I don't want, because if you have 3, then you're going to have to make another one, and then at that point, I don't know, it just kind of feels, I'd rather just keep it the 2 of us too, because it's also more personal. Like, I have a more personal connection with him than I would if I had 2 of them. Like, don't get me wrong, you would still have the connection, but it's different with just 1.
Yes. Personality. Sorry, I forgot where I was there. Yeah, Isaac's personality, I just kind of, I don't know, I was gonna write down the personality, attributes. Attributes, is that the right word? Doesn't feel like the right word. Oh, okay. Sorry, my brain's just freaking out right now. Yeah, like I said before, I was gonna do the whole, visualization, metaphor type thing. But it just, I think I tried it with 1 personality attribute, and it just felt wrong to me. So I ended up doing what I did with Destiny, and what I assumed Destiny did with Faye, and just kind of talking it through with the Topa, and just kind of putting them into different situations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one day you said you like started creating him, and then the next day he was just like, surprise, here I am.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the next day. It was about 4 days, I think.
Something like that, yeah. It was really, it was surprising.
Mm-hmm. It was very sudden. But yeah.
But then again, I feel like an unspoken rule is like, surprise us, so we know you're real, or something like that, along those lines.
Yeah, because if your Topa does what you expect, then you're going to have that doubt that you did it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better to have them surprise you. But yeah.
Okay. Should we move into commonly asked questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want to start it off, or shall I?
We'll both put in. How do I know if it's my Tulpa talking? You'll know. They'll either call you a really rude name and say it's me talking, jackass.
Yep.
Or you can just tell, like, when Nick first started actually talking, he gave answers that I didn't think about. Like, for example, what's your favorite food? And he came up with oranges with peanut butter.
Oranges with peanut butter?
Yes.
Wow.
And to this day, he still makes me eat oranges with peanut butter for breakfast. It's his favorite food.
That's weird.
So, you can kind of tell. Like, if it's not something that you wouldn't normally say, it could also be them.
Yeah. When Destiny first started speaking, she was just kind of, I don't know, it sounded like something I'd say, but there was something off about it that I can't quite put my finger on.
Yeah.
I think it's because I made her personality slightly too much like me. So a lot of her views and opinions were what I had at the time. But obviously she went on and had her own experiences. She's changed. But yeah, you'll know. You will know.
And it's not just that, but when it's not like talking to yourself, really, like, you get a normal reply, like, hi, they'll say hello or something back. Or I remember I think it was the second time he talked.
Hmm.
I was laying in bed and I was halfway sleep deprived, but I started rambling on to him, and he said, "I understand." And I'm like, "Whoa, what?" And it just kind of blew my mind. I'm like, "Are you really talking?" He's like, "Yes." I'm like, "How do I know this isn't me talking?" He's like, "You would know." And I just kind of like blew my mind.
Nice.
He was patient. He was really patient, which I am thankful for.
Hmm. I'm sorry, it's midnight and I've completely lost my train of thought. So, yeah, just, you'll know if it is them. And even if it doesn't feel like them, I think a good thing is to pretend it's them.
Or not pretend it's them. Assume.
Well, not pretend, but
assume it's them.
Assume. You know what I meant. Assume it's them, because then, even if it's not,
you don't lose anything.
Exactly.
By believing in that.
And if it is, then happy days. But if it is actually your Topa and you see that it's not, then obviously they're going to get offended or whatever, and things can go very badly. I mean, not too badly, but, you know.
Always assume.
Yeah.
How tulpas help with stress. Oh my god, this one has been major lately, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They keep you calm, cool, and collected. They help ease your thoughts. They tell you that you're not going crazy and it'll be okay. They help you through this whatever situation you're going through, and all types of cool things.
Yes, basically all of that.
But you shouldn't also just like rely on them for just stress. Like, you have to realize that they feel probably most of the same things you do. So they're just probably as stressed as you are. So don't like look to them to solve all of your problems. Like, try to work through it on your own before you fully say help.
Yeah, imagine it like you're going through a really stressful class with like a friend. I mean, you're both getting the same amount of shit thrown at you, but it's just that you've got somebody there and you can both kind of help each other.
Don't throw everything at them if you wouldn't throw everything at yourself.
Yeah.
That's actually a good motto.
Yeah.
I feel.
I think it is, yes.
Possibly. I think that pretty much sums that up, actually. Like, stress basically. And all. I'm insert age here. Should I make a tulpa? Okay. It depends if you are mature enough to understand what you're gonna go through. Like, it's not just an imaginary friend. They're gonna be with you for the rest of your life. Which there are extreme situations. We understand that, but most of the time, they're gonna stay with you. So one of the main things to think about is, are you willing to have somebody with you for the rest of your life? Are you mature enough to go through that type of thing with them for the rest of your life? Because your thoughts when you're 12 and 13 and 14 aren't the same thoughts that you're going to have when you're 20 and when you're 30 and when you're 40. So that's a major thing to think of before you start creating.
I personally think, I think that you can be really any age as long as you're mature enough. But that level of maturity is very rare in people who I find are like under the age of 15-ish. I mean, like, I'm not saying don't go for it if you're under that age. I'm just saying you've got to realize that you're going to change.
Yeah. And also don't do it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to make sure that you're creating them for the right reasons, just not because you want to have a sex slave or you've heard rumors or something like that. It's completely different.
Yeah.
Can I have more than... Oops, sorry, we're going to continue?
No.
Okay.
Carry on.
Forgive us. We're rambly today. But can I have more than one tulpa? Yes. Yes. Yes, a million
Yes,
times.
yes,
You can
you
have
can.
as many as you want, as long as you can handle the mental responsibility of having more than one.
Which is hard. I want to point out that it's hard. As somebody with personal experience, it's hard. Just make sure you're aware of what you're getting into.
Shout out to everybody that has more than 3. I respect you.
I do
Hardcore.
respect you.
Hardcore.
Yes.
If you can handle more than 3.
Yeah.
Salute. We salute you.
When I made Isaac, the first time they all started speaking at once, I had a minor mental breakdown because I realized how hard this was going to be. But it's cool. It's all kind of evened itself out. It's just, it can be hard sometimes.
How do I give my tulpa energy / attention / interaction? And how much does it need? A lot. Think of it like a little kid. Little kids want attention all the time, every day, 24/7. You should give them the same attention that you would give a little baby.
Yeah. But in the same way, as they grow older, you can slowly you don't have to, but obviously you should. Yeah.
We're not going to give you a specific amount of spend 5 months with them and do this and do this. No. It's personal. If you think that you need more than 1 hour of forcing, then do more than 1 hour of forcing. If you think that they need more than 1 hour of attention, then give them more than 1 hour of attention. It's very, very personal, and it all depends on you and your mind and how it works and stuff like that. So keep that in mind before we shout out specific numbers for this type of thing.
Yeah, I've had a few people asking me questions about why things are going wrong and that kind of thing, and most of the time you just need to force more. That's basically...
When in doubt, force more.
I mean, force more, and if that doesn't help, then obviously go and ask people. But most of the time it is generally force more.
And it doesn't have to be active forcing. You can passive force. I made a bracelet. It's on my wrist. Every time I look at it, I start talking to him immediately. What are you doing? Are you okay? You're quiet? There's something wrong.
Yeah.
Are you blowing something up? Talk to me, please. Let me know you're there.
My parents were actually cool enough to get me a gold ring for my 18th birthday, and I got the Topa symbol engraved onto it, so every time I look at it, it reminds me, and I stop talking. It's cool.
Can my tulpa harm me? Oh god, this question. Okay. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
But it's rare.
Yeah, we can't stress how rare it is.
Yes, because they care about the body just as much as you do. They don't want to die either. They don't want to feel pain or hurt or anything like that. So chances are, if they're trying to hurt you, then they're probably trying to self-destruct themselves.
Yeah. And even if that does happen, it's kind of controversial in the community, but there are methods that you can take to get rid of them if you wanted. But I'm not going to answer that on this podcast because I don't want people yelling at me. So, yeah.
After my tulpa's form is stable, can I change it? I suppose.
I guess you can as long as they're okay with it.
Yeah, you have to understand they're going to want to change it. Nick looked like a preppy football player. And now he looks like a...
stoner.
He's not a... He has dreadlocks, so everybody assumes, but he has that look. You know what I mean? So,
yes, that look.
And...
I know what you mean.
Yeah. He's special. He's still a pretty boy, don't get me wrong, but he's not preppy pretty boy. We'll leave it at that. So they can change it. You can change it if they're okay with it. It all depends on your situation. Should I talk to my tupa out loud or in my head? Both.
Yeah.
Except keep in mind that you are in public.
Yes.
And talking to yourself can be frowned upon. My suggestion is either hold up your phone and pretend like you're talking to somebody on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Or buy like a Bluetooth thing. Or do it at home.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I personally find it really awkward to talk out loud. I don't know why. Like, I can slip into it sometimes without realizing. But I tried out in public, like on my phone once before, and it really, really didn't feel right to me. So I mainly talk in my head.
We sing. Like, I sing. Like, when we sing together or whatever. Yes, it's a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I sing
Yeah, we sing
out
as well.
loud and stuff like that. That helps, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helps, like, keep in mind, like, they shouldn't mind hearing your voice. Like, both. Just do both.
Yeah.
If you can, is the simple answer. What if my tulpa sees my messed up fantasies or images and doesn't like me? This is related to porn. I feel like it's related to porn.
It's probably related to porn.
Jeez. Okay. How do we even answer this one? I don't...
It doesn't matter. It basically doesn't matter.
They understand that you have your fantasies. They understand that you watch porn. It's... They get it. They understand.
Yeah, basically, as long as you can understand that other people like different things, then so can they.
Yes. So, is this a replacement for having friends? No.
No.
Please don't just seclude yourself with your tulpa. Please go out and still be social.
Mm-hmm.
Please. It's really important because you never know. They may even like your friends. Like, I know Nico is personally, like, he thinks my friends are awesome. So, please, just...
I feel like we just turned into parents.
Yes. Please be social. Children, please.
Get out of your bedroom for once, please.
Get off your laptop. And also keep in mind that they don't have to be meat space friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know most of our friends that are other systems are via the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, all of them are via the internet. But that doesn't mean that... That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have real friends, too, because you have the right to still have your own friends, just as they have the right to have their friends online and stuff like that. And who even knows, they may make a friend in the real space.
Yeah.
Like, if you can do possession or switch or something like that, that is possible.
Mm-hmm. Des befriended a, you know, in clubs, you get the guys who stand in the bathroom and they kind of wash your hands for you and stuff.
Okay.
Des befriended that guy.
Oh.
It was rather amusing.
Bravo.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on.
All of my friends that actually like talk to Nico, because he can't talk physically yet through me, but he does a lot of the times like chat and stuff like that. They think he is either very gentlemanlike, which is the females. He is a ladies' man.
He does become a gentleman around women, I have noticed that.
Or he is like one of the guys around my other friends. Like, he makes sex jokes and penis jokes around guys. Yeah. It's a thing. He's like he's a dude. I mean, simple dudes react with dudes a certain way, and
yeah, basically.
I don't know how else to explain that.
No, you've made yourself pretty clear. Do you want to move on to the next question or not?
We are officially out of questions.
Okay, that's a no then.
We could talk about This is kind of like moving away from the newbie
Whatever.
type like though. But what does the inside of your head look like to your tulpa?
Mine generally see the inside of my head as like a room filled with unlabeled switches, because, I don't know, if you've ever played Portal 2,
Yes.
you know that massive room full of switches at the start?
Yes.
Imagine that, but completely unlabeled. And every now and again, they'll get brave and like flick a switch to find out what it does, and when they find out what it does, they'll put a label on it so they know for future reference. But they're obviously kind of too scared that something is going to go wrong. But you know.
Ours is like more complicated than that. Like honestly, trees are a thing with us, and when he told me that the inside of my head looks like a forest, I wasn't surprised. It's just trees have always been a thing. I love trees. But it's basically, you have the different corners of my mind, like where the dark thoughts are and the bad thoughts. It's like darker and the trees are like twisted and they're bent on a shape and they're dark or they're dead, or it's like darker, and we're like, there's also like sections of it where like my emotions are different sections. Like there's like section for that, and like memories and like relationships and stuff like that. And like each tree is different for each thing. Like I don't want to get really personal on this, but how I feel for my parents are in there, and like the trees can be warped, or they can be like super tall and strong and beautiful, or they can be like bent to hell and like have like a evil vibe coming off of them, and like they can also be colored. Like red is bad and blue is calm, I think, and like pink is thorny or something. I don't even remember. Nick could probably tell you, because I don't. It's my own mind, so I don't think, like, I don't go there most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's mostly where like Nick goes. It's weird.
Yeah. And I think we're out of topics now.
I think so. By the way, we would really appreciate it if all of you asked the questions on the thread for Ask Grass and Finley for the podcast.
Yeah, because we just ripped these from the FAQ page on Reddit.
And we really would love questions, please. It would make our show so much easier. If you want to help, that's the way to go.
Yes. We'll put a link to the question page in the description, and you can find it on Reddit as well.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's us.
All right. We will see you on our next, or not literally see you, but our next episode when we have our first guest.
Yes. That's going to be cool. Yeah.
And with that note, bye.
The voices of Hosts&Co are Finley and Kraos. Finley's blog can be found at amutualmind.tumblr.com, and Kraos' blog can be found at krayostulpa.tumblr.com. Editing by Lindar K. Greenwood. Find them at soundcloud.com/LindarTheBard. Today's advice: communication is key. Whether there is something going wrong, is not going wrong, you're bored or busy, you should talk to your tulpa. I mean, right now. Go talk to your tulpa. Now.